So now we're going to learn about fractions. First thing that we're going to do here, we're going to multiply two fractions by each other, which is very easy. So let's say we have 3 divided by 4, let's say, times 4 divided by 8. So in this case, basically, like, we will try to simplify these as much as possible. So in this case, we can simplify them. If we divide 4 by 4, we get 1. 4 divided by 4, 1. Then we got 3 at the top, 8 at the bottom. So then 3 times 1 is 3, and then 8 times 1 is 8. So this is 3 divided by 8. Now another one, so let's try this one. Let's say 12 divided by 4 times let's say 7 divided by 24. And if we look at this, in this case we can simplify this. So like if we divide the top and the bottom by 4, so we get 1 here, we get 3 here, 3 here, and then we can also simplify this further in terms of like 24 and 3. So then if we divide both 24 and 3 by 3, then 3 by 3 is 1. 24 divided by 3 is 8. We cannot divide these any further without without a remainder, so therefore we can just multiply. So 1 times 7, it is 7, and then at the bottom 1 times 8, it's 8. So as you can see, the result is 7 divided by 8. Let's do another one here. Another one that we can do, for example, let's say 7 divided by 8 times let's say 3 divided by 5. Now, like, if we look at this, actually, like, there isn't anything that can be simplified. So like we can't simplify this any further. We can't simplify this one, 3 divided by 5, any further. So therefore we will just multiply the top, and then we will multiply the bottom to get our result. So 7 times 3, that's equal to 21, and then 8 times 5, that is of course 40. And we will just leave 21 divided by 40 as it is, as a fraction. Now next thing that we're gonna do here, we're gonna divide fractions. So that's another thing that we can do here. So the way it works, it's like this. When you divide one fraction by the other, you'll have to change the operation to a multiplication so that you can do it. So like, to explain this, for example, let's say if we have 2 divided by 4, so we have this fraction 2/4 divided by, let's say, 3 divided by 8. So what you do, like, you will say then this is equal to 2 divided by 4, and then in order to change this to a multiplication, you're gonna have to take the numerator to the denominator and the denominator to the numerator. So in this case, it will be 2 divided by 4 times 8 divided by 3. So now this can be simplified. So if we, for this fraction, if we divide the bottom and the top by 2, then we get 1 here, we get 2 here. And then if we look at this across, so for example, here we got 2, and then here we got 8. We can divide this by 2 to get 1, divide this by 2 to get 4. And then of course we cannot divide any further or simplify any further, so we just multiply. So 1 times 4, it's equal to 4, and then 1 times 3, it's equal to 3. There we go. So that's how you do it. Now just another example over here. So if we have, let's say, something like, let's say 40 divided by, let's say 5, and then divided, so this is a fraction of 40 over 5, divided by, let's say 23 over 20. Then in order to do this, we'll just say, so this equals, and then we're going to change this to a multiplication, so we'll say 40 divided by 5, 40 over 5, times 20 divided by 23. So we can simplify this. So for example, if we look at, like here, if we look at 4 and 5, we can divide the top and the bottom by 5. So like 5 divided by 5, that's 1. 40 divided by 5, that's 8. And if we look at the top and the bottom over here, we cannot simplify it any further. Same thing, like if we look across, again, we cannot simplify this any further. So you'll just, in this case, multiply. So 8 times 20, so then we can just multiply. So 8 times 0, that's 0. 8 times 2, that's 16. And then 1 times 23, that's 23. There we go, like we got our result over here. Let's look at another one over here. We're gonna do one more. So let's say 5 over 2 divided by 3 over 4. Then this is equal to 5 divided by 2 times 4 divided by 3. So this can be simplified, obviously. So like here we can do like up and bottom, but we can do across. So like in this case, then you can say we can divide this by 2, divide this by 2 to simplify. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and then 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then we can't simplify this any further, so we'll just say 5 times 2, that's 10, divided by 1 times 3, that is 3. There we go. So our result is 10 divided by 3. Next thing that we're going to do here, we're going to multiply fractions, or like basically like numbers that are that have like combinations. For example, like let's say 2 and and a half, or 5 and 3/4, for example. So how do we do this? So let's look at these. So for example, if we have, let's say 1 and then 1 and then half, let's say times 3 and let's say 3/4. So in order for us to be able actually to multiply these, we're gonna have to simplify these. So then we're gonna change these to full fractions. So in order to do this, of course, you take the number and then you multiply that by the denominator, and then you add the numerator, and then that becomes the new numerator. So in order to do this one, for example, we say 1 times 2 and then plus 1. So 1 times 2 plus 1 times 2, that's 2, plus 1, that's 3. So then we will say 3 and then divided by 2 times this one, 3 times 4, that is 12. 12 plus 3, that is 15, of course. So 15 divided by 4. Now in this case, we can, if we look at this to if we can simplify, we will simplify. Otherwise, we would just multiply. So in this case, we will say, like if you think about it, you don't have anything at the top and the bottom that that can be divided evenly. So therefore, we'll just multiply. So then we'll just say 3 times 15. So like we know 3 times 15, in this case we know that it's 45. But if you just want to multiply, like, you know, like in a longer way, so you'll say 3 times 5, that's 15. So like we got 1, and then 3 times 1, that is 1, and then plus 1, that is 4. So 45. And then 2 times 4, that is 8, of course. Now, like, we'll just leave it as it is, because if we divide, we're not going to get an even number, so we'll just leave it. Now, let's do another one with a division as well. So like if we have, let's say, for example, let's say 60 and let's say 22 divided by 7 divided by, let's say, 4 and then 3/5, for example. So first thing that you're going to do, of course, you're going to convert these combination numbers to full fractions, just like this one that we did over here. So then we will just say, okay, so 6 times 7, that is 42, and then 42, we're going to add 22, so 42 plus 22, that is 64, and then divided by 7, and then in this case we're gonna say divided, and then 4 times 5, that is 20, 20 plus 3, that's 23, so we'll say 23 divided by 5. So then, of course, in order to get the result, we're going to have to convert this operation to a multiplication. So in order to do this, just like before, we'll say 64 divided by 7 times 5 divided by 23. So if you think about it, like, you cannot simplify this. So like, you know, like if you try to divide the top and the bottom by a certain number, like here, we're not going to get an even number, so therefore we'll just multiply as they are to get a fraction. So 64 times 5, or 5 times 64. If you want to do this, you'll say, so like 5 times 4. It's easier to multiply a small number by a larger number in order to get the results. So like you would just say 5 times 4, that's 20. So I'll put 0, and then we got 2 in our hand. So then 5 times 6, that's 30. And then 2, that's 32. So that's 320. And then we're going to do 7 times 23. So like if you say 7 times 3, that's 21. So you got 1, and then 2 is in our hand. So 7 times 2, that's 14. And then plus 2, that's 16. So there we go. We got 320 divided by 161. Okay, so that is that. So like we can, in this case, we can multiply the fractions. We know how to divide the fractions. We know how to multiply combination numbers, and also how to divide combination numbers. Now, next thing that we're going to look at here is addition of fractions. So like, how do you add fractions to each other? I just want to look at some simple examples in order to understand. So we're going to talk about a general rule that can be applied to any situation, basically. So like, let's say we have 2 divided by 3, it's like 2/3, plus, let's say, 4 divided by 3. How do you do this? When you have an addition like this, you're going to have to look at the denominator and find the lowest common denominator for these two fractions. Now, like if the if both denominators are the same, you can just simply take the number and add the top. So, but On the other hand, like if you want to do it like using the general rule so that you apply it anywhere, this is what you do. So like in this case you say, so like what's the common denominator for both of these? I mean like a number that can be divided by both, like the smallest number that can be divided by both without any remainder, like in other words you can get a full number. So like in this case basically like it's 3. So because if you take 3, you know, like it's the common denominator between these two. So like I'm just gonna put this, so then 3, and this is what you do, like you take that common denominator and then you divide it by the denominator of the first one. So 3 divided by 3, that's 1. 1 times 2, that's 2. So then you say 2, and then plus, then again here 3 divided by 3, it's 1. 1 times 4, that is 4. So then you say this equals 2 plus 4, that is 6, and then divided by 3. If you want to, of course, simplify it further, you say 6 divided by 3, obviously it's going to be just 2. If you want to leave it as a fraction anyway, so you can say 2 divided by 1. Like any number divided by 1, it's the same number. So this is like, this was easy because obviously like the denominator was the same for both fractions. Now let's look at something where the denominator is different. So something like this, for example, let's say 4 divided by 5 plus 6 divided by let's say 8. So then you will say this equals. Now let's look at 5 and 8. So 5 and 8, the lowest common denominator for 5 and 8 is actually 40. So I mean like you can just, because like you can divide 8 by 5 to get an even number. But you know what you can do, you can just say 5 times 8, that's 40, and then 40 of course you can divide by both without any remainder. In other words, you get a full number. So then I can just say, I can put my common denominator over here, and I can say 40. Then in order to do this, so I'll take 40, I'll say 40 divided by 5, that's 8. 8 times 4, that's 32, plus, then 40 divided by 8, it is 5. 5 times 6, that's 30. So now we can add these two. So 32 plus 30, that's obviously 62, and then divided by 40. Now we can simplify this if we want. We can divide you know, the top and the bottom by 2. So if you divide the top by 2, you get 31, and if you divide the bottom by 2, you get 20. So there we go, we got our result over here. So as you can see, that's how you do it. Like you just get your common denominator, and then you divide that common denominator by each denominator, and then you multiply it by the number at the top, and you simply like you get your result. Okay, so that's that. Now next thing that we're going to do, we're going to look at subtraction of fractions. So let's do this. Let's take two fractions. So I'm gonna say, let's say 15 divided by 12 minus, let's say 7 divided by 5. So the process very much works the same way. So you'll just say this equals. So if you look at you know, the lowest common denominator between 5 and 12, if you divide 12 by 5, you don't get a full number, so it's not a good idea to do that because we will not get our result that way. So therefore we can just multiply 5 times 12. We know 5 times 2, that's 10, so we'll put 0 here. 1 is in our hand, and then 5 times 1, that's 5, plus 1 that's in our hand, that's 6. So 60 is our common denominator that we will use in this case. So let's take 60. So 60 divided by 12 is 5. 5 times 15. So 5 times 15, you can just say 5 times 5, that's 25. And we got 2 in our hands. 5 times 1, that's 5, and the 2 in our hand, that's 7. So in this case, 5 times 15, obviously that is 75. Now minus, so then you say 60 divided by 5, that's 12. 12 times 7, so how do you do it? You can just like do a quick like a multiplication here. So you can say, let's say 7 times 12, and then so 7 times 2, that's 14. We got 1 in our hand. 7 times 1, 7, and then 1, that's 8. So we got 84 in this case. Okay, so 75 minus 84 divided by 60. Now what do we do in this case? Of course, like we will subtract. When you subtract a larger number from a smaller one, the result is negative. So now we know like our fraction is going to be a negative one. Why? Because like this fraction 15 divided by 12 is smaller than 7 divided by 5. So 75 minus 84, that would be how much? Think about it like 84 minus 75, so that's 9 basically. So we can say minus 9 divided by 60. So there we go. We got a negative fraction over here. So then, like if we want, we can also do other numbers. For example, like combination numbers. Let's do combination numbers. We're gonna just do an example over here. So let me just use this one. So like you will say 30 and let's say 7 divided by 22 minus, let's say 12 and 5 divided by 6. So in this case, just like before, like you're gonna have to convert these numbers to full fractions. So like in this case, we got 30 times 22. So 30 times 22, if you think about it, that's 660. 660. And then 660 plus 7, that's 667. 667, and then divided by 22. Then we'll say minus 12 times 6. So 12 times 6, or 6 times 12. 6 times 10, that is 60. And then 6 times 2, that's 12, so that's 72. So like if you think about it, we can just do it over here, like on this side if you want. So 6 times 12, let's say, I don't know. So 6 times 2, that is 12. 1 is in our hand. 6 times 1, 6, and then 1, 7. So 72. And then, so like you get 12 times 6, that's 72. 72 plus 5, that is 77. So then we say 77 divided by 6. Okay, So then we can subtract these, but in order to do it we have to get a common denominator. So the common denominator in this case between 6 and 22, so like you can say in this case 6 times 2, that is 12. 1 is in our hand. 6 times 2, 12, and then 1, that's 13. So 132. So that's 132. So again, 6 times 2, that's 12. So we put 2, 1 is in our hand, and then 6 times 2 again, that's 12, plus 1, that's 13, so 132. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take this number, so 132, we're going to divide this by 22. So like if we divide by 22, we get 6. And then so we're going to multiply 6 times 667. So I'm just going to do some calculation on that side over here. So if we do this, we will say 6 times 667. So I can say in this case 6 times 7, that's 42. So 2, and then we got 4 in our hand, and then I'm just gonna write that 4 over here. So then 6 times 6, 36, and 4, that's 40. So I'll put 0, and then 4 is in our hand. Then 6 times 6, that is 36, and then 4, that's 40. So another 40 here. So in this case, basically the result is, so 132 divided by 22, that's 6. 6 times 667, that's 4002. So we'll say 4002 minus. Now here we take 132 and then divide it by 6, that's 22, and then we're going to multiply 22 times 77. So let's do that. How do we do it? So I'm just going to do a calculation here on this side. So I have got the minus sign here. So I'll just say 22 times 77. So I'll say in this case 2 times 7, that's 14. 1 is in our hand. 2 times 7, 14, and then 1, that's 15. Now I'm gonna do the same here. We get the same results, but we have to put the numbers over here. So like we'll just, put it over here. So like we'll just push it to the left by 1 digit. So we'll say then this is 5, 4, and then to get the result, we're gonna add these. So here we got 0 here. There's nothing. So this is 4. Then 5 and 4, that's 9. 1 and 5, that is 6, and then 1 comes down. So in this case you got 1694. So 1694. Okay, so now we will simplify this further because we want to get a fraction over here, and in order to do it we will just say, so this is equals, or this equals 132, and then I'm just gonna subtract these numbers. So I will just like how I did this here for the multiplication, I'll just do subtraction over here. So like, then all this, what I'm gonna say, I'll just say 4002 minus 1694. So if we say 2 minus 4, that's not gonna work because it's smaller. So like we will borrow 1 from here, from this digit, but this is 0, so like we can't borrow it from there. And then we're gonna go to the next one. If we borrow it from here, again it's not gonna work. So then we will borrow it from here. So this then becomes 3, and then this becomes 10, and then this becomes 10. So now if we borrow from here, then we will say, okay, so then we will say, in this case we will just say 12 minus 4. So like if we borrow 1, then it becomes 12. So then 12 minus 4, that's 8. Now this becomes 9, obviously, so because of this, and then we get 9 minus 9, that's 0. This becomes 9 as well. 9 minus 6, that is 3. And then 3 minus 1, because we got just 3 left, then that's 2. Okay, so in this case we got 2,308. So we would just say 2,308. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave this here. I hope this was helpful. You can, like, comment in the general comment section on this, like if you have any other ideas or what you think about this. I would really appreciate it. And thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye bye.